I do, folks. How you doing? Just a quick one. Are you a slave? Are you a slave? Now, the answer isn't quite as simple as it would seem. Well, every one of you right now are going, no, no, no. Well, try saying no to the man. And then tell me again, are you a slave? Try doing what you want to do. Try living how you want to live, bothering nobody. Tell me, are you a slave? The reason it's not as simple as it'd seem is because the answer's both yes and no. The reality is, you are absolutely in servitude because you can't live by your own free will, because you have to pay the man for every twist and turn, and if you don't pay him, he's going to come and drag you away. The reason you're not a slave is because you've consented to all this. Now, I know loads of you say I don't consent, but you do. So, what if you stop consenting? What if you learn how to not consent correctly? And to remove your consent, to remove your contracts, rescind all your contracts? What then? Are you a slave? Absolutely not. And the reason why, because you learned how to remove all your contracts and you learned how not to consent, and you're going through your life not consenting, so you're not dealing with that shit that everybody else is dealing with. I'm not saying a claim won't come through the door, but it's simple to resolve. The little agents won't know. The average Joe in the street won't know. The police individual that's standing at the side of your car might not know. Immaterial. Nothing can come to you. But the whole world is in servitude. And it is a world, it's not a country. There are no countries, there are no borders to these people at the top of the tree. It's just corporations keeping control of their slaves, because they haven't bothered to tell them, excuse me, I'm not a slave. Slavery is repugnant to the law. So they say, you're not a slave, but you've got obligations. Well, I don't agree to any obligations. I never did agree to any obligations knowingly. Nobody ever gave me non-misleading full disclosure to the terms and conditions of your corporate rules. I never signed a contract with your corporation saying I accept your corporate rules. You think they can pass me around as their companies dissolve and reopen back up under different names? United Kingdom Limited, Her Majesty's Government Limited, or PLC should I say. So a company dissolves in 2008, as it were, United Kingdom Limited, and then a new corporation forms and just assumes everybody's contracted to them as well. Nobody is. None of you are. But they've got assumed contracts, and because folks put on their masks and go and vote and do as they're told, those assumed contracts turn into tacit agreements where they've absolutely got you. They have got you by your consent, acquiescence. What they do to you, I do to them. Learn how to do to them. I've told folks many times, affidavits are truth. Fill it with truth that they don't want to hear. They cannot respond to it. They cannot. Get them in acquiescence. Make them acquiesce by giving them something they can't respond to. They will acquiesce. You get it standing as truth and judgment at law. And you have won. Now, I know there's a fuckload of folks out there that don't accept that and just will not attempt that, or are too scared to attempt that, or have fucked up with it before, so stand there saying it doesn't work, that stuff doesn't work. What stuff? I don't do what other people do at all, and folks are quite welcome to do what I do, and I've told everybody on multiple occasions to tell anybody how to do it, but just don't come to me with no knowledge at all, expecting me to give 10 years of self-learning into 2 days. It just can't work that way. You don't want to learn all that I know. You really don't. You want to learn what pertains to your life. So if you want information and advice on life, you need to work out what aspects of your life are going to come to you. And I don't mean that stuff that you've ignored and left alone until it's become a ridiculous problem and then come to me like everybody seems to do. It's the most ridiculous thing in the world to acquiesce, because most of these folks have known all along that you shouldn't acquiesce, and they still acquiesce, and then they come to somebody to fix it for them. It doesn't work that way. Learn how to do this, learn how to deal with you, learn how to handle your own affairs, and then handle your own affairs. As something comes through, it gets responded to. The very day a claim comes through the door, you should really be writing your response to it and have it posted the very next day. That should be your priority. But all this throw it in the bins, and over the last few days, since I've done these last couple of videos, which have kind of changed track a little bit, it's just done exactly what I says I don't want it to do, and that's bring these small world claims out of the fucking woodwork to me. I'm sorry if I sound cold to it, but I've wrote over 1,300 fucking notices for absolutely fuck all, and I ain't got hardly any appreciation for anything I've ever done. Hardly any. And still, I'm getting folks come to me with these little problems that mean absolutely nothing when there's huge issues in the world going on. They're letting these small problems overwhelm them. And it just goes to show that nobody's listening and nobody's learning. You serve them fucking notice. Now, I have got templates of my old methods before I'd learned better, and them methods work fine if you stand on it. But there's nothing in the world where you just send a piece of paper and that's it, and you walk away from it and rub your fucking hands. So when you come to somebody and say, can you do this or can you give me this, you're kind of trying to open the door so you can give them the whole problem, because when the next one comes through, you want them to deal with that. And then you think how many people in the world that have got these problems, and how many folks that actually have bothered to learn how to fix these problems. And just think how many fucking folks are coming on a constant basis asking, can you fix this, can you fix this, can you fix this? Which is one of the reasons why I didn't want to go back into these style videos, because it just inundates you, and it has. It absolutely has. Everybody saw me speaking about law again as an opportunity to me fix their shit. Ask me how to deal with something, I'll explain it. But if you don't know anything at all, there's no point in asking me how to deal with it, because you're not going to understand what I say, and ultimately you're just going to be expecting me to fix it. Well, the reality is, yesterday's videos I gave you a couple of good sources to gain the basics of this knowledge. Now you learn a bit of that and you come to me and we'll have a discussion. You're going to have a higher level of knowledge on this, and you're going to be able to get what I'm saying, and you're going to be able to fix this shit. I know everybody's out there enjoying their lives, living their lives, all fucking hiding under the stairs with a mask on. I don't know, whichever you're doing, it's immaterial, it don't matter to me. But folks are full of excuses why they're not learning, and don't tell me this, you know, if I say you should learn this, don't tell me you ain't got time, or you're going to one day, next week you're going to start, because I hear this all the fucking time, all the time, and then it all goes quiet until you have another problem, and then you come back to me with the problem. But the reality is, this video isn't about coming to me, and it certainly ain't about a whinge from me. I'm just telling you exactly how it is and what's happening. And those folks that are coming to me with their issues, the small world issues that are really easily solvable with a little bit of knowledge, those folks coming to me, you're accepting your servitude, you're accepting your slavery. You think that you're coming to try and get out of your slavery by coming and getting somebody else, but it isn't. Analyse what you're doing. What you're actually doing is trying to get away with not paying something. Because if that bill, that claim there in front of you hadn't just come through, would you even be discussing this? Not at all. So you are slaves, you're absolute slaves with your own acquiescence, because you absolutely flat refuse to learn something that you could actually learn quite easily and quite quickly if you put your mind to it. It isn't as hard as it used to be. It isn't like it was when I started out, and all the way through this, and all these folks that have been battling and fighting their way through this shit to try and work it out. And some of the folks out there, I mean, I've slagged just about every fucker off in this game, because I'm sick and tired of watching people piss people about and go around in circles and not fucking do anything. But the reality is, any fucker out there, and I don't care what level you are, if you're more knowledgeable you are, the better it is for us to fucking talk, because the more you're going to fucking understand what I say. And then you can go on to pass it on. So if there's any of what I call the heavy hitters out there, I'm more than fucking happy to talk to you. I'm more than happy to talk to you. I'm very approachable, and I'm not the asshole that I do put myself across as, because it's only my frustration that makes me scream and shout at every cunt, because nobody's getting it. Years ago, it was really difficult, because we had nobody that fucking actually got it. Everybody was fighting to try and learn something. Everybody was just testing and trying these things out over and over again. Well, I've been doing this for fucking ages now, and it fucking... I ain't had no failures. It hasn't failed. As long as the fucking folks doing it are prepared to fucking stand on what's done, it'll go through, absolute, and nobody's ever going to bat an eyelid. No court's ever going to accept you in there. Haven't tried, tested, and fucking proven. If it's done right and you stand on it, it is absolute. Absolute. I got a couple of little claims to, and it's absolutely bizarre that since that fucking since I did the my sovereignty, I never had any claims before that. Since then, I got a couple of little claims come through which were pertaining to a motor before that, and only speedings, but it got to the point where it had come to court. They wanted to take me into court. And I dealt with them by notice, and they thought they could still plough ahead, so I just served the prosecutor's notice on that, and bang, done, absolute. They will not take you into court if you know what you're doing. They will not. And it doesn't matter what these small-time fucking claimants think when they're talking to you, because they have no clue on the law. They're not trained on the law at all. So why are you taking your law advice from them when you must do this, or we're going to do this? And put it to fucking court. Put it to court. I'll deal with that. But the reality is, it is just speedy. I get actually one response saying you tell it to the court. But there were, in total, I think there was 5 speeding things from 5 different areas from my missus's motor, obviously from when I was in it, and I think it was 3 of them came through where they pursued. 2 of them just dropped it, and none of them went to court. None at all. So and that should be the end of it then, because obviously after that one I've served copies of everything over to all my trustees and told them to make sure this doesn't happen anymore. And I did go out in the missus motor last week to do a speed camera just to see, and nothing's come through yet, so I presume that's that. But at the end of the day, you do have to deal with this shit, and if you deal with this shit ahead of time, you think, let me just go into this one, serve notice on the police, and you serve notice on the chief of police. Before anything happens, you're telling them who you are, that you're alive, you don't subscribe to acts and statutes, you don't come under them, you stand absolutely under the law, you will not break any laws, and you give them a little claim of right in there or something. Now, you put a claim of right in there, you get lots of claim of rights off the internet, and you go through them, just making sure they're all pertain to you, and put any other rights that you want to state in there, and tell them you can perpetually add any more rights that you can think of, because that is your right. And you bang that in there. Now you've already dealt with things ahead of time. If you've covered your right to travel in there, you've dealt with it ahead of time. Now you've notified the police. You could also notify the chief prosecutor of that, and you could notify the transport minister and all the other ministers. at the top of the tree. I'm happy to give everybody a list of the fuckers and notify all them of that. And then how do they anyway come to you after that fact telling you they're going to take you to court? Because you've told them this, you've told them that if they haven't responded within 14 days with a point-for-point rebuttal in full, and being responded to by the respondent only, any response from any other agent acting on behalf of shall be deemed as non-response. And in 2 weeks there, your non-response, which you're going to get because they can't fucking respond to it anyway, and if they do, you just get a cursory little notice from somebody else probably saying something like your letter has been noted, not accepted but filed. Well, that's accepted. Doesn't matter what they say, word games. So it's absolutely filed, and there you've got your filing number that they've just filed it under. Now that goes onto your evidence list as it's filed within the government. And cha-ching ching, it's taking care and dealing with your own fucking issues. It's of your own accord, motu proprio. It's handling your own affairs as is just right and proper to the law. The law. If you're handling your own affairs, nobody else can. So start noticing, folks. Even if your notices are shit. I was going to say on yesterday's video actually, and I watched it back just to make sure I didn't miss something, and I did. I did say I'll tell you how I started writing notices. Excuse me. And I'm going to tell you how I started writing notices because it was a progression. My original notices, when I look back on them, were absolutely fucking rubbish. I look at them now, and if somebody sent this to me and said, "Should I send this off?" I'd say no. But the reality is, I was sending them off and they was fucking working. The original ones probably wouldn't now because they've had them progressing over so long. So it's like everything, you teach each other along the way. You're teaching the bailiffs how to respond to these little silly notices, and they're teaching you how to get better and better until your notices all of a sudden are impregnable. Eventually they can't be touched. But as far as notices are concerned, you take somebody else's notice, a good one. You make sure it's somebody who can write a notice. And you take their notice. you look how it's laid out and ask them how you should sign it off, because the sign-off's important. How you sign it is very important. How you would certify it and how you would seal it. So ask somebody that bit and you get that information. Now, as far as writing the notice out, you see exactly how somebody started it off. Whether it's an affidavit, whether it's a notice, whether it's an opportunity to cure, they all start slightly different. So you just look how these are started off, and if you've got it on the computer, you can just copy the start off over, then read it through and see if there's any words you can change slightly. Change it around a little bit. If there's a maxim of law in there, look through some maxims of law and put a different one in if you can. Just to make it your own, because it's quite important. And then you take the ending of the notice, how it ends, and then read back a little bit, not just literally the sign off. Read back a few, because mine, the last couple of paragraphs pertain to the ending, and you want that shit in there as well. That's giving them 14 days to respond, or forevermore securing estoppel via acquiescence. So at the end of the day, you want to put that in there. I know you're watching this pulling your 8 at the end of the day, but since it's the beginning of the day, we'll start with the end of the day. So anyway, you stick the end in. Then what you do, you take out the middle, but pay attention to how it's laid out, how it's spaced, how the paragraphs are set up, any maxims in there, how they're used. Any maxims that you do use, I put in brackets. Learned over progression. I didn't used to, but I do now. I put every maxim in brackets because everything at the top of the page has started with plain simple English and plain simple counting systems, so they can't play with any legalese. And it's a bit difficult saying plain simple English, plain simple counting systems when you're writing in Latin. So definitely keep your maxims in there, but stick them in brackets. So like I say, pay attention to your layout, how it's spaced. Every new point you're going on, any points, you can number them or you can dot them, or you can just lay them out, put them close together as I do. I'll number them and bang them close together with no spaces between them, and then they're the points, and it stands out in the page. There's no avoiding it. However, don't underline anything. Don't use dog Latin. Don't use capitals. Now, my early notices, there was absolutely no capitalisation in them at all, zero capitalisation, because I was working only with equity. So as an equitable notice, it was absolutely no capitals in there. But plain simple English, plain simple counting systems, you can put your capitals in there. You can put absolutely anything you want in there, because the definition of the words and the entire notice is only defined by you. So it doesn't matter. So you can do it exactly how you'd expect to do it, apart from your sign off. Now, your sign off, very important. There's different ways to sign off. The early days I used to do a drawn sword signature, which is your normal signature at a 45-degree angle from bottom left up to top right, and then a red thumbprint over the top of it. That's a drawn sword signature, the highest form of signature, the most powerful signature there is. But obviously, since evidencing my sovereignty, I haven't done that, because there is no signature to a living man, and a sovereign man. He has an autograph. Now, an autograph, if you want to connect to the fiction name, you can actually put it in there, or you can do it without if you've evidenced it. Now, as you evidence in your paperwork, obviously you're going to do it without, and then you've put that through, and from that point on, you are that autograph if you decide to be, because you've evidenced it. Now, you've got your full colon before, your full colon after, and your first name, bang, which is your name. If you have a middle name, you hyphenate that, and you put that in, and then your full colon after that. So there's only two full colons, one at the beginning, one at the end. If you've got a middle name, there's an hyphen in between it. That is your autograph, all in small letters and in red, and still bang a thumbprint over it. Now, if you're the sort that does want to put that second name in there, or you want it to pertain to something with that one, all you would do on the end of your autograph, you would put the second name. I always use only small letters, but you can use capitals if you want in that, because that's the trust. And then you put a full stop at the end of it. That's after your full colon name. And then the thumbprint, I only put it over my name. I don't put it over the corporate entity name, the legal fiction name at the end. But it's very rare I'll actually put that on. There has been circumstances where I've wanted to and I've chose to. It's immaterial, it's of your own accord. Once you're going down the road of serving notices, you'll find you'll learn what's and when's and how's, but you can ask at any time. Now, like I said before, I don't want inundates of questions, but if you've got serious, real questions, ask them. If it's can you do this and blah, 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 please don't, because I've got it coming out my ears. I really have. I'm trying to help folks the best way I can, but me actually sitting there writing for other folks has to end. The only writing I'm going to be doing, I've said it a few times, the only writing I'm going to be doing is for the sovereign souls and those wanting to become sovereign, because that's for a goal, and doing that alone doesn't overload me. But doing all these little claims, and the worst thing about it isn't the actual workload that causes the work that causes the stress. It is the workload. It's the next one coming in, and it's like, oh fucking hell, there's another one and another one. That's 3 coming today, and blah, blah, blah. You can't keep up with it, and it's that stresses you out to the max, and it's that which is why I cannot keep doing that. So as everybody knows, my health ain't in the best of shape, and I can't let it keep taking me downhill. So my sovereignty paperworks are the only ones I'm going to be doing from here on in. Anybody wants to discuss that, they can come and discuss it with me. But as far as the little claims, I'll tell you how to do the notices. I'll put some more up in the Wonky World backup so folks can take them. But don't just take these notices and send them. Have a look at a few of the notices, take chunks out of each and put your own bits in and alter them, change them to yourself, change them to your own. That's what it's all about. You start taking these bit by bit, like I said before, you take the beginning and the end and fill it in the middle. You alter the beginning and the end to suit yourself and to change it to your own. Once you've changed it to your own, it'll probably stick for a while. I generally stick with them for a year or so, and then all of a sudden something else will come to me, or I'll see something that catches my eye, and it'll prompt me to change them, which I recently have. Just changed my beginning and ending, and folks will be seeing that soon. It'll come out. It don't mean anything because the other stuff is perfectly adequate. It just as I see something that I like a little bit more, resonates a bit more, or I feel is a bit more powerful. But I can only do things at the speed I do things, so I can't keep you up with me in real time if you're not at my level in the first place. So I've got to kind of keep what I'm doing with my stuff and above totally separate. The advice I'm giving is absolutely sound and solid advice. Now, I've got affidavits of truth to send and show people. If anybody wants to see them, I can show them you, but don't just ask to see them if you haven't got a genuine reason and you're not about to write them, because all you're doing is adding to my workload, sending me messages to read, to send something back to, and it's just out of interest, and that's not on. You can go in the study group, in the group files sections to look at shit. It's not that I don't want to talk to folks, it's just that I'm so fucking busy. You can see the states of me now. I'm absolutely fucked, and it's how I'm living my life again. I've got to fucking get to this quiet place in my life to be doing my own healing. But anyway, folks, that's the top and bottom of learning how to do notices, and I thought it was important to kind of tell folks how to do them. Now, if you're not doing them and you're just saying I don't know how to do them, and you've just heard what I've said and you're just still going to say I don't know how to do them, then you're not trying. Because if you do take a notice, you take the beginning and the end and you have a look through it. If there's questions in there that's being asked as a DSAR, you know how to ask as a DSAR. There you go. You could alter them a little bit if you weren't lazy. But the reality is, if you're going to be lazy about it, and no, I'll just change the names and I'll just send it fucking off as it is, then you didn't really deserve it. You've got to put yourself into it a little bit. It's not like folks like me have been doing this for money. We've been serving notices for years for folks for absolute free, for nothing at all. And like I say, for very little thanks. I've wrote over 1,300 notices now. I've got multiple groups on Facebook, but Wonky World that just got closed down, that's been going for a while. We'll have about 400 odd members in there. I've wrote 1,300 notices, so that alone shows you the respect that people like me get for doing what I've been doing. I know there are a few of you that say thank you and do appreciate it, and a few of you say thank you and don't appreciate it. You just say, I just got my shit fixed, thank you very much, and I'm off. And next time you've got a problem, you're going to come back to the same guy because he did it last time, and it has to stop somewhere. It has to stop. But anyway, folks, I do want everybody to learn this shit, because if everybody actually woke up to the frauds and the crimes, you'd be able to deal with it. Fucking piece of piss. You all know what the governments are doing right now. You all know that they're absolutely defrauding the people of everything. The money is being taken from the Commonwealth. The frauds that are being taken place over this fucking pandemic. You all know what's going on, and yet you're still involved. I mean, personally, if I knew nothing else, just this pandemic would be enough for me to say I'm not paying council taxes, I'm not paying any of that, I'm not paying any of that. We can prove that the government is, by their own admission on their own websites, there is no infectious disease, highly infectious disease, throughout the entire world on their website. And they have an A to Z of infectious diseases world over. COVID's not on there, nor is corona, or any of the other derivatives thereof. It's not there. And there's many other things that show you it's a fraud and a fake. A million memes. Now, you can take any one of them memes and you can check it out. Don't use the meme, for fuck's sake, because there's a lot of idiots out there making fucking memes out of things that they think. But the reality is, you do your own due diligence, you can check up any one of them, and if you can't validate it, it's bollocks, and that's how you should take it. If you can validate it, write it down. There's another excuse, another reason. You can build up a mass of reasons that way just on this pandemic alone as a reason to be doing nothing for the government, not consenting to the government, not paying them any money to continue spending it on this shit. You could just shut down over that, lawfully, absolutely lawfully. It's a criminal entity. Charges of treason are being levelled on it from every direction. So why not just use that if you don't have any other knowledge? But the fact is, if you keep saying you don't know no and you don't try no, you're not going to get anywhere. You're not. And if you keep going through other people's templates and just sending them off, you're going to need another one next time and another one next time. And I've seen this over and over again, the same people asking for templates for stuff over and over again, when really they could have just converted the template they had before into it. They've got the start, the beginning, most of the points in there, and just changed the facts. Put your own bit in the middle. Put your own bit in the middle and then slowly start altering it till you make it your own. That is exactly how I learned to do notices. And that, and keep sending them for folks. I would advise other folks, if you learn how to deal with the bailiffs, for instance, because the bailiffs are the easiest ones going. If you learn how to deal with the bailiff, do it for somebody else, help somebody else with theirs. I wouldn't say put yourself wide open to fucking get inundated like I did, but you can help a few. And as you're helping these folks, you're learning, you're progressing, you get answers from them, and you see how they fuck themselves up in their responses because they don't know the law. And as you're learning, they put something in there you don't understand. Don't skip past it, do your own due diligence, work it out. Are they right? Oh no, they're not, they're wrong, boom, and then you have them on that as well. You rebut their notices and you prove that what they're sending to you is absolutely ridiculous, and you're still waiting for them to rebut what you've sent to them. Same with everybody. Anyway folks, that is it. I hope it was a bit of a lesson in my own style of trying to make it a little bit simpler for you. I don't want to spin you in circles, I don't want to talk in words you're not going to understand, but I do want you to get it, so try. That's all I can say. Give it a go. Bye.